Hey y'all. Today I felt like making a video about what it's like to ride a motorcycle and why I started riding it. Now, I've never really done a video like this, so it's probably going to be super awkward. But the reason I wanted to make it was one, I just wanted to document my feelings now, since I hadn't before, and then I can come back and, see how I feel in the future. And then the other reason is that, like, when I thought about getting a motorcycle, I watched a lot of videos like the one I'm gonna try to make, just to, like, I don't know, either convince myself in or out. And I'm not really gonna try to convince anyone to go either way, because, like, I personally love motorcycling, but, like, at the same time, I really don't think a lot of people should do it, because it's just a different experience. One, you have to be okay with being very vulnerable on the road. I mean, just driving around, you see a lot of people being distracted drivers and stuff. And are you okay with that or not? I mean, I think that's a big issue now that we face, especially, just the way cell phones are. They're just very engaging, and I don't know, it's hard to put them down a lot of times as well. So that's actually one of the things I really like about motorcycling, though. Is like, yeah, when I get on my motorcycle, I don't look at my phone for the whole trip. It's just in my pocket, and a lot of times I'm listening to music, but I'm not texting, I'm not looking at social media or watching videos or anything like that. I'm just kind of just living in the moment, which is, something I'm really glad that has happened with me in my life. Just for a moment, just sit there and live. I'll be honest though, like, when I do drive other motor vehicles, I don't get on my phone. I feel like that's extremely disrespectful and dangerous. I mean, it's disrespectful to everyone else on the road, and it's dangerous to everyone on the road too. So I don't really do that, but I know a lot of people do. Now that I've rambled about that for a little bit, I want to talk about, like, my background with motorcycles, and essentially why I made the decision about 1 year ago to buy a motorcycle. I don't, and so first things first is, my dad rode motorcycles when I was growing up, so I was a passenger frequently, and I don't really know how that has affected my decision to buy a motorcycle. I mean, obviously, being more comfortable with being on a motorcycle definitely affected it. But so, like, it wasn't some weird foreign thing is what I'm trying to say. Whereas, like, I think a lot of people who didn't grow up on motorcycles probably view them as, like, just scary, I would say, like, loud and scary. But to me, part of the reason I'm not afraid of them is because I rode it a lot when I was younger. My dad also my parents bought me a mini bike when I was like 10 years old or something, and I honestly loved that thing right from the jump. I mean, I remember waking up and walking downstairs, and I was kind of a dumbass, because, like, we went to the Honda dealership, and my dad was just walking around. I thought he was looking at getting a new bike, but while we were there, he had me and my sister try on, because we shared it. He had us try on helmets and sit on little mini bikes and stuff like that. And I mean, the writing was on the wall. I just overlooked it. My parents are also, like, I wouldn't say they're sneaky or anything, but they would they would trick us from time to time. Like, they just wanted to surprise us and make us have a very enjoyable Christmas, which it was. It was very memorable. But I do remember walking downstairs that Christmas morning and being so excited seeing the little mini bike there. Where I grew up, there was snow, and I don't live in the snow area now. I live down in the south, but I grew up in Pennsylvania. So when this particular Christmas, we had snow on the ground, which, doesn't happen as much anymore, I'm told, but luckily we had a white Christmas. The iconic white Christmas. Anyways, we take the motorcycle outside, and my dad rides it down the driveway, and he had a quarter-mile driveway, so it was really long and really windy. But he took it down to the flat part, and he was like, "Yep, go get it." And I remember riding that thing on his icy driveway, and I don't know how that didn't like leave a bad memory in my mind, because I know I must have like dumped that thing a few times, but end of the day, I just, it's a memory that sticks in my mind. Incidentally, like, one thing I think about when I think about the mini bike is the last time my older sister ever rode it. Now I rode it quite a bit more than her, and I hope that I wasn't selfish with it, but like, you know how little kids are, I probably was. But anyways, we were out in my dad's backyard, and Roseanne was riding the motorcycle, and she drove it straight into my dad's deck. That was it. That was it for her. She never sat on that thing again. End of the story for Roseanne's motorcycling career, which, it's hysterical, because that was it. She never got on it again. I don't even know if she rode my dad's motorcycle again. But I don't know. That's just something I think about when I think of like my background with motorcycles. Skipping forward through my life, I'd always thought I was going to buy a motorcycle eventually, just because like my dad rode. Like, I felt like, that was part of my, I don't want to say heritage, but I guess just part of my community, I guess. And then I just never did for the next like almost 30 years. Just always was preoccupied with something else and moving on with my own life. So more recently, skipping forward to like a year ago, I was driving into work, and truthfully, to drive in is god awful, right? It's a country road. There's nothing really to see, and it's just incredibly boring. So I would find myself like talking about the distracted driving, right? I would find myself like sort of daydreaming about like what it would be like to ride something else. Now, where I live, and you'll probably see it in the video, like the weather is extremely nice, but for some reason there's not a lot of motorcycles. Like where I grew up, a lot of people rode, and I don't know if it's more of like a cultural thing. I have no idea, to be frank, but it's just the fact of the matter. Most people drive cars here, and a lot more people. I feel like I always saw more people riding motorcycles where I grew up in Pennsylvania. But I guess I don't know the statistics for sure on that one. And it is interesting because like sometimes I'll just be riding around like my neighborhood or whatever, and I'll see, or just even walking around, I'll see like motorcycles in people's garages, but I very infrequently see anyone riding them. And the people I do see riding are always the same people over and over again. So take that for what it's worth. There's no like statistics there or anything. It's just I feel like it's less common where I live now. But going to 1 year ago today, I had been looking online to see like, and watching a lot of YouTube videos about like, what it was like to ride. And I don't know what other people's experience on YouTube is, but like whenever you watch a lot of similar content, I think it just the algorithm or whatever, which is a part of why YouTube's so addictive, is it just keeps showing you that same stuff. So like I was interested in motorcycles and I'd been daydreaming about it, and then I was shown a lot of content on YouTube, so it just it just kept making me want to explore this, you know, particular adventure. And so I saw a motorcycle on one of the local dealership companies, and it was essentially everything I wanted, at least what was advertised. It was mid-sized beginner bike, and I say that with quotation marks, and it had analog brakes, which I learned it actually doesn't have that, but that's, I think they accidentally put it on, or they, you know, did it to try and bait and switch you. I don't know, but I learned at the dealership before I bought it that it doesn't have analog brakes, so they weren't being deceptive there, at least from my perspective. And you know, it just had really good reviews, particularly on some popular YouTube channels where it was talking about, you know, what kind of motorcycle you should buy. Like, for instance, I was really interested in the Honda Rebels, and my personal opinion was I was probably gonna get the 300, and then I watched a bunch of content saying like, oh, they're underpowered and you'd get bored of it really quickly. So I was going to buy a Honda Rebel 500, and there weren't any in the area. So I ended up with my motorcycle, which is the Kawasaki Vulcan S650, which for driving for a year, I really have loved it. I mean, I feel like it is a great motorcycle, especially, and I don't even mean that as a beginner. Like, I actually genuinely mean, like, I could see myself riding this in a motorcycle for the entire time that I ride motorcycles. And I'll make another video about, like, the Kawasaki Vulcan S, just because, like, I feel like that is another type of video, and I'm not saying a lot of people are watching these things, I know they're not, but, like, I just think it's good to make content like that so other people, if they're inclined, can watch it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I didn't really have any motorcycling experience, and there's going to be other people like this, and I can tell you what I liked and what I didn't like. Now, everybody has different opinions. For instance, like the Kawasaki Vulcan S, a lot of times I hear that the seat's not very comfortable, the factory seat. Now, my personal opinion is, I don't agree with that at all, and I don't know where that comes from. Like, I don't even understand it, to be honest with you. Like, the seat is fine to me. Now, like, I installed the Kawasaki reduced reach seat, and it is extremely comfortable. Like, I don't really have any issues at all. Now, I don't have anything to really compare it to. Like, you know, is it more comfortable than my truck seat? I would say it feels really similar, you know what I mean? Like, obviously the truck seat is bigger, and you know, trucks in general are more comfortable, but like from a sitting down perspective, like, no, I have no issues at all. The only thing that I can think of is, like, I've ridden a lot of like bicycles in my life, and personally, bike saddles are extremely uncomfortable, so like anything better than that is a dream. So I think that might be why my opinion isn't the same as what other people have said. But that's another video, and I don't know when I'll make that. Maybe soon, maybe never, I don't know. I just wanted to ramble today since, you know, my wife's out of town, and I don't really like got anything else going on, and I like to play Fortnite with her, but whenever she's not around, like Fortnite, it doesn't hit, you know. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna play solos or play with random squads, which it's not a fun experience for me. So anyways, back to the motorcycling thing is like, yeah, I don't really know if other people do that. Like, they daydream about, you know, certain learning a new skill or something like I do, but I know that, like, I was thinking about it constantly for like a month or two, and like, I don't know what whoever watches this video, I don't know how you feel about, like, you know, ruminating for a long time. I know, just talking to people, that like some people just think about things forever and never pull the trigger on it. And like for me, like honestly, I don't want to live my life like that. Like you only live the one time, and I want to experience everything I can because like I don't know, you know, I just always feel like you never know when the end of your life will be, and I don't want to live it like with regrets. Now, I'm not saying that like you all should go buy a motorcycle, but I am saying like I don't want to like sit back at the end of my life and be like, dang, I really wish I would have, you know, tried that thing I thought about for years. That's ridiculous, right? Who wants to live like that? I'm sure none of us do. So that's why I bought it, you know. And over the last year, like I gotta say, like yeah, it's really been quite the experience. The things that like I wasn't really prepared for, I guess, is that one, it is actually quite unnerving, like just how reckless some drivers on the road are. Like they'll come way too close for you, and like they'll be like little tiny cars, and like you don't really respect it when you're driving a vehicle. Like, oh yeah, you feel a lot more comfortable because like you have a big box around you. But on a motorcycle, like a Toyota Prius is ginormous, you know. It would just absolutely crush you. But you just don't have anything. I think you would just fall off and slide down the road. So that's one thing I wasn't really prepared for. One other thing that I wasn't really prepared for is like just the crazy stuff you see on the road. Like on a car, you wouldn't even think twice about it, but on a motorcycle, like that is a devastating injury waiting to happen. And I have a specific, for instance, where I was driving into work in the morning, and it was right after daylight savings time, and I was coming through an intersection, and luckily it had just turned green, so I was going very slow, but the car in front of me slammed on the brakes, and it felt like it was out of nowhere. Like I didn't know what was happening, but they hit the brakes, and then I proceeded to also, I don't want to say slam the brakes, but that's honestly what I did. Which I've already spoken to it, like the motorcycle doesn't have an anti-lock brake system, so the rear brake locked up, and luckily the front brake didn't. But the rear brake locked up, and I still didn't know what was happening. But it locked up instantly, like, which is an extremely unusual experience. Because like normally to lock the brake you have to essentially slam it down, and I've only done it twice, including this one. So I'm very confused for a split second, and then out of nowhere, I look, and there's like mud just caked all over this intersection, at least a foot deep. And so I get in the tire tracks of the car in front of me, and I essentially walk the bike through the intersection and pull off at a parking lot right past it. That, like, if I was in my truck, like, wouldn't have thought about it twice. But like on the motorcycle, that could have been an accident, and that could have been a bad accident had I been going through that intersection quickly. So just weird things like that happen. You just, stuff you don't even think about normally, but just happens to you while you're riding motorcycles. So I would say, like, if you're thinking about a motorcycle, that's something to keep in the back of your mind. It's like, yeah, there's an extra bit of danger. Now, like, does that stop me from riding a motorcycle? No, because like I don't want to say I don't think about stuff like that. I think if you do accept the risk of motorcycling, part of it is being extra diligent on the road. And people just, you know, I don't really understand people, like, what the hell, like, why was there just a bunch of mud on the road? To this day, I have no idea what that was doing there. Like, I pulled off and I was sure it was like manure or something, but no, it honest to goodness was just a pile of mud. They had to have been towing it somewhere, and the trailer failed or something. I have no idea. But yeah, there's just stuff like that to expect, and I think that would turn a lot of people away personally. What else? I think like the things that I really do like riding is like it just feels more in the moment. Like I think I've already talked about this a little bit, but like you're literally just on the bike. There's nothing else going on, and I know that this is a common experience because like I had a issue with my motorcycle a few months ago where I created a short circuit by being a dumbass, I guess, and took it to the mechanic. And while I was there, he was talking to me briefly about like, you know, his experience riding, and he said something along the lines of like, you know, no matter what else is going on in your life, it's just when you ride, you kind of forget all that, and that is the God's honest truth. Now I feel like a lot of people probably get something similar when they're driving their like older sports cars or something like that, but for me, motorcycling is a lot more accessible. So one other thing that like I think is kind of a weird experience from motorcycling is just the fact that like how many people come up to you and just talk to you about it, and like I don't know if like I'm just a super awkward guy or something, but these conversations always go like it's like nowhere essentially. They're just so they come up to you and they're like, oh, so you ride motorcycles, and that's it. That's all they're going to say, and you're like, I don't know how to respond yet. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I ride. Do you? And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, are you interested in riding? And they're like, no, not really. Or they're scared of them or something like that. So I don't know if other people have gone through this recently too, but for me, it's just something noteworthy, I think. So yeah, I don't know. A lot of times it happens in like weird spots, like at the gas station or something like that, and you're like, oh no, how do I get out of this conversation? I know some people naturally enjoy talking to strangers, but for me, I like to talk to people whenever like there's a specific like topic, but I don't know, that that conversation is just an odd one for me, and it's happened a few times now, and it's like just don't know where to take it. That being said, is like I do really want to have conversations with other people interested in motorcycles. So like I feel like one of the like things that I'm kind of missing out on so far is just the engagement with the rest of the community, just because I don't really know anybody else that rides. Now, like going back to what I was just talking about, like a lot of people also have like a similar like background as me, where they'll be like, yeah, I rode dirt bikes as a kid and I've thought about getting a motorcycle, but they're not really in the place in their lives to get a motorcycle yet. So I'll usually have like a short and sweet conversation with them and other people like that. But yeah, one thing that like I feel like I'm kind of missing is that when I took the like motorcycle safety course, like it was a really fun experience, not just like the learning to ride, it was the interaction with like the other people that are also there and interested in motorcycles and actually taking that step to get one, right? So a lot of the class didn't have a motorcycle yet, and they were all like, yeah, I'm gonna get a sports bike. And that was a really funny experience because like there's a bunch of people talking about like, you know, getting fast motorcycle, and they were struggling on like a 250 piece of crap. Like, um, uh, best of luck to them. I really wonder what they ended up doing with their, lives and stuff like that. But I distinctly remember this one guy because he was a young engineer, and I'm sure he was making big bucks or whatever. But he was talking about how he was gonna get himself a some sports bike or another. Now, like, I'm not really into the sports biking, so I don't know a lot of them. I know the one kid wanted a Gixxer, and I cannot recall what this kid wanted, but he was saying how cool they looked on like the interstate flying by. Well, anyways, I remember after we took the test at the end of the motorcycle safety course, and we were just sitting in the room, and the guy that graded it, he came and he was like, "Do you guys want to get your scores back like family style, where I just read everything out, or do you want to do it individually?" And like me personally, I'm quite shy, so I wanted to get, just get mine individually, but everybody else was like, "Yeah, just read them out." So I'm happy they did that, just because like I feel like I wanted to just go home at that point because it was a long day, and I was just ready to learn if I passed or failed. But they went over my scores first because I was very unlucky and I had to go first, and they were like, "Josh, and this one story that I'm talking about in particular is the quick stop, whereas you had to accelerate up to like, I want to say like 10 to 15 miles an hour, and then maintain your speed, and then hit the brakes after you pass these two cones. And then what they did is they measured how long it took you to get through the two cones, and then they measured how long it took you to stop, right? And they said, and they compare like how long your measurement was to like some standard. Well, mine was like, it was very awkward because like they were talking about it and I didn't understand anything that they were saying, but they said like my standard was, I want to say like 16 feet, and I stopped in 11 feet, and they were like, "That's very good." And it was just like silence. I was like, "Oh, okay, that's good." But then they went to this other guy, and they said like, "All right, so you got through the cones in this amount of time, so your stopping standard was like 16 feet or something, and you ended up stopping in like 21 feet or something like that." Well, it was very bad, in the grader later said like, "Oh, well, the max point deduction on this particular test is 5 points." So I always wonder about that guy, because like he wanted to get himself like a really fast sports bike, but he didn't know how to stop a crappy little 250. I don't know. I hope he's doing well. But so that's one thing I really that's actually one of the things I got into motorcycling for, and then I completely failed at, is like to just get involved in a community, and the motorcycling one in particular, just because like it's already a particular interest in me. So like over the next year, I don't really have any goals for myself, but like I guess that is really a goal that I should set for myself, and I guess I'll come back at some point in time. Like obviously I'm just winging this shit and just rambling on, but like I guess I'm making myself a note. It's like, hey, today is March 29th, 2026. It's like, did I make any progress towards this? Because like this is one of the reasons I started motorcycling in the first place, is like being more involved in the community I live in, and then I just haven't done that. I guess just quiet moment of reflection here for myself is like, yeah, you set these goals and then you fail to do them. But I mean, not everybody achieves everything they set out to, but that's just something that I just thought of, So I guess yeah, I don't think a lot of people are gonna watch this, but like if you are watching this and you are in a similar position, I guess I'd really appreciate like, you know, what your experience has been, and like if you have a video that I can watch, I hope you link it or something, because it's like I forgot all about that until like now that I'm rambling about it. It's like, yeah, do other people also start motorcycling to experience like the group rides and stuff like that? I'm not excusing myself, but I do know that like one of the reasons I really haven't done that is just I get kind of like scared of the other motorcyclists on the road. Is like they seem to be a lot different to me. Like I mean, similar to the people from my motorcycle and course, is they are interested in like riding fast and sports bikes, where it's like, dude, I'm really just interested in cruising around and like exploring the state I live in now. I'm sure that there's a bunch of people like that. I don't know. I guess I'd like to hear other people's opinions. But I guess I don't really, you know, never really had an agenda for this video. I just wanted to ramble and make a video. Like, this is my first time ever doing voiceover content, so it's like, this is probably me droning. This is probably boring. But like, to me, who, let's be honest, I'm gonna be the main audience for this video, this is going to be interesting. I feel like something that I'll want to revisit in the future. So I guess I'm going to start my conclusion now, just because I've really, you know, I've been talking for about 30 minutes, and that's a long time, and most people in the world won't want to just watch a video of some dude rambling for that long. So hopefully, you know, I'll put a like note in here for myself to like come back to this point here, the conclusion, and just talk about where I'm at now, and like, would I do it again? And like, truth is, like, yeah, I'm absolutely stoked that I did it. Like, it's crazy to me that like how nervous I was on the motorcycle last year. This time 1 year ago, it's like I wouldn't even get out of first gear. That's how afraid I was. Now, you know, I ride most days that I can just because I want to. It's weird because it's like, I wouldn't say that I'm addicted to it, but like I definitely enjoy it, and it's a really fun hobby. And like I'm sad that like right now the whole Iran war is going on, and I don't know what impact that'll have with like the economy, and like if I'll be able to continue to ride, because like I don't know, like say that, you know, I'd lose my job or something, it's like one of the first things that's gonna have to go is the motorcycle. It's just right now a luxury. So like I don't know if that'll happen, and if it does, that'll be a really sad day for me. If it doesn't, then thank goodness for that. But my opinion is like I really enjoy it, and I hope I would encourage other people to like, you know, explore other things that they're daydreaming about too. Like, you just sit there and think about this thing all day long. And like, I have a neighbor that when I bought the motorcycle, he came over. I've never talked to him before, but he's friendly with my wife's a lot more involved in the community, so she'll talk to a lot of the neighbors more than I will. Whereas like, it's not that I don't want friends, it's that I don't want to always have to like have a conversation with somebody every time I roll into the neighborhood. Sometimes I just want to go inside and like go mess around, right? But anyways, he came over and he was talking about it. He said he was looking into motorcycles, and it's a year later and still no motorcycle. So I don't blame him for that. I'm glad that I made the decision to try this one thing that was new, and I hope I continue to do it, even if it has nothing to do with motorcycling in the future. Like, I just, want to continue to like evolve as a human being and try new things and push myself in new and interesting ways. So I guess that's really it for me for this video. It's just wanted to talk about, where I am in life and what my experience was. I'd encourage anyone to try to learn a new and similar skill set. Like, motorcycling is a lot different than driving like an automatic car, especially like kind of a older type motorcycle that doesn't have a lot of the technology that I know a lot of the higher end motorcycles probably have. Like, you can ride in main mode. Like, I don't even know what that is. Mine doesn't have that, and I just wanted to learn to ride like an old school motorcycle with manual transmission, and that's it. I feel like I've learned a lot. I mean, I definitely think a lot of the skills are transferable. It gave me a new perspective on like riding and driving, so I think it was super worthwhile, and I hope other people get to experience similar things, just because when I'm an old person and I'm looking back on my life, I definitely will appreciate this particular adventure that I went on. So I guess I hope you enjoy the rest of your all's day, and talk to you later.